Part 45. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 446. Wu Wuzong, the lord who walked towards his own peak, only felt that his steps were heavy and his heart was very sad. His 45-degree angle looked sad. Even the old ancestors valued him so much, but today he wiped out Wuzong's reputation. How can he restore Wuzong's reputation after that? And, how did he keep his daughter's heart steady? Although very angry, after all, he is his own daughter, so Wu Litsong first convened a meeting internally, first self-examination, and then used this to rectify the mountain gate. Those who have had criminal crimes will be expelled from the gate. Xiu Xian first cultivates morality. There is no difference between morality and magic. Therefore, Wu Zongzong opened a new course on morality. When recruiting disciples, he also added an assessment of virtue, and beauty. All these things were handled properly, and the Lord Suzerain secretly went to the place where his daughter lived. Chen Sheng's wound had been treated by Yuan Shuang, but her broken arm could no longer be connected. Although she had healed Chen Sheng's trauma, Chen Sheng was destroyed by Gui Yuanzun and the pain of Dan Tian, and Gui Yuanzun the author searched for the sequelae of his memory after his memory, and she was helpless. Although Chen Sheng was lying on the bed at the moment, he rolled his eyes from time to time with twitching. No matter what Yuan Shuang said, he didn't have any reaction. Knowledge of the sea is damaged, from headaches and memory confusion or lack of cognition at all times, to madness. Suddenly the suzerain suddenly felt that such a Chen Sheng would not be used for a few days, and his daughter would get bored. What's more, the more he blocked, the more he turned his daughter back, and in doing so, he followed her. Yanj was loved by Giwen Tianzun. This guy looked at her gaze, it was exactly a kind of madness who could not wait to put her in a sugar jar. It's an adult, and Yanj thinks it's necessary to talk to him. So after being loved and having a good night's sleep, Yanj did not resist Giwen Tianzun holding her to go to the hot spring, but said solemnly, "Saburo, I have something to tell you." Giwen Tianzun previously thought to use her goodness to her to downplay the past in her heart, but every time she saw her bright smile at him, her heart felt tingling. Every day, Giwen Tianzun was eager to seal the tragic memory of Yanj. He was struggling hard every day, especially after Yanj fell asleep. He looked at her peaceful sleeping face and spent a lot of time. Refrain from doing so. Giwen Tianzun bowed his head to look at Yanj, although expressionless, but my heart was a little nervous. Does she want him to help her seal those memories? That's great. I'm sure you know what happened in the past, Yanj said deliberately, you have never asked me what I have experienced since then. I know His Holiness Giwen saw that she was talking and stopped, and simply helped her. It was those puppets of mine who found you in time and brought you to me. Puppet, Yan Ji was surprised. Hong Chen was the puppet of Gui Yuanzun? Hong Chen is not human? How is this possible? She was unable to respond to this perception for a moment. In her heart, she thought about the things that Hong Chen was with her, which was not something a puppet could do. Although there are doubts about Giwen Tianzun's words, Yanj did not say anything about Hong Chen. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 447. At the bottom of Yan Ji's heart, he felt subconsciously that Hong Chen's affairs should not be known to His Holiness Giwen. The Supreme Master Giwen put Yanj in the hot spring, while helping her to curl her hair and wrap her head with her head bath. She explained to Yanj, my body has a problem because of problems with the exercises. Just in case I went into trouble at the end, I fell into a deep sleep. I pinched a few human figures before falling asleep and let them go to find the woman I needed. If they found it, they would be sent to me automatically. He didn't feel anything wrong with what he said. Of course, Yanj wouldn't ask him, would it be possible that he would be sent to another woman and he would sleep like this? She stared at Giwen Tianzun. So, where are those human figures? My consciousness can control them. When they complete the task, I let them go. The so-called dispersal is the same as disappearance. So red dust has disappeared? Yan Song is a bit less like believe. She has more experience and knowledge, and naturally knows what a human form is, but she doesn't think that Hong Chen looks like a personal form. However, it is also possible that Hong Chen's shell is a humanoid, but the core has been changed. Giwen Tianzun has let those wandering away. Will the red dust body still be there? Giwen Tianzun's finger touched Yan Ji's frowning brow slightly. What are you thinking? Only then did Yanj find out that he was distracted. She looked up and looked at Gui Yuanzun. Don't you care about my past? Do you care? Gui Yuanzun asked back, and said softly at the end, if you can't get through this hurdle, I can help you seal those memories. He felt that even if she was firm in her mind, it was hard to think of those a painful past. How did it get on her? Yanj shook his head. My brothers and sisters and my father, now only I remember them. How could I be willing to seal those memories? Giwen Tianzun silent, he stretched out his hands, pinched her underwater thin shoulders, and slowly embraced her into his arms. When you are sad, tell me. Yan Ji nodded smartly. Giwen Tianzun asked again, would you like to become a friend with me? Although he has touched that barrier, but he has really reached that level, he feels that he can still find a way to suppress his cultivation, and after he has formed an accomplice, he will die after he has died. Yan Ji stared at His Holiness Giwen in amazement. You're about to rise? A marriage with me will make you worry. The main thing is that Yanj didn't want to have such an affectionate relationship with him. After all, many people testified for the testimony, and they would eventually kill their wives and give up their sons. And this guy may soon be sorry. What kind of acquaintance does this person have with her? Giwen Tianzun bowed his head, and his eyes fell on Yan Ji's face finally. He wondered, you don't want to? He felt as if it were his illusion, and he had just seen a full sense of disgust on her face. Doesn't she expect to be his accomplice? Yan Ji did not hide from his eyes. She thought for a while and said, I think that you have already taken 99 steps in the road of cultivation, which is the last step. There is no need to stop this step because of me. My body, you should also be clear about the situation. You should be unable to cultivate your physique. Even if you reverse your destiny, I do not have the realm of your immortal people. I will only cultivate it constantly, and it will grow too powerful in the end. Heaven is destroyed. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 448. Yan Ji looked at Gui Yuanzun, and she said these words with a calm expression, without any pain. Still, Giwen Tianzun asked her in surprise, where did you know? Yanj smiled, I have already read all the books in the study room at Cathay Peak. Giwen Tianzun did not expect that she had such a memorable ability. He had known about it. With his hand on her head, he didn't know what to say for a while. As long as you don't practice, you can live a long time. Yan Ji nodded, agreeing with his words very much. Yes, in fact, I should have died that day. I have earned the most lived days, and now I have done the work of immortality and revenge. Come to me. Say, life is complete. She looked at Giwen Tianzun earnestly, you are different from me. I know you are kind and pity my past, but you don't need to make such a decision because of me. I don't need the sympathy and compassion of others. For the first time, Giwen Tianzun had a kind of speechless speech. Is he pitying her? He told himself like that. But now, when she said that, he just wanted to refute. Saburo Yanj's hand touched his face, and the water vapor filled her eyes, and her voice softly sighed, You gave me enough. Looking up, she kissed his lips. Lingering in the water seems to make people more sinking. Giwen Tianzun gradually lost himself in the woman's soft and watery body. However, the thoughts in his mind became clearer. So when Yan Yan thought that Giwen Tianzun had already thought about it, this fellow, however, told the sectarians and the elders to hold a double repair ceremony, and he would form a companion with the heaven and earth. This is tantamount to a thunder on the ground. However, the elders are also old immortal who have lived for thousands of years, all of them are human spirits. They guessed that the old ancestor had been practicing, but never cultivated. Maybe now is to taste after all. This long spiritual life is really boring. They calmly started preparing for the double repair ceremony. The invitation was also distributed. Although Song of Songs wasn't immediately known, she recently went to the mountain every day for a few laps to hear gossips. Gui Yuanzun now doesn't let her go out of nowhere, and she can only move around inside the gate. She heard such news from gossip. I really did not expect that one day I would become the protagonist of gossip. Listening to those people who talked about her with envy, saying that when she walked from a waste material to the present, she not only avenged revenge, but also became the ancestor of the first ancestor of the Xiuxian world. An example for the nuns to learn. Is this a role model? However, if you think about it, it really seems like it. After all, men conquered the world, women conquered men, and she conquered the first ancestor of the Xiuxian realm, which was equivalent to becoming the first. I always think that this logic is strange. In fact, she never thought about conquering this man. I never thought of conquering men to reach the pinnacle of life. Her goal, but the sea of stars, is a drag on men. Yan Ji thoughtfully returned to Cabernet Sauvignon, and found Giwen Tianzun who was looking through books in the study. Holding her hand at the door, she stopped, and stared at the man sitting on the couch with a complex look. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 449. It was at noon that the sun was shining on the window lattice behind the couch, and the light and shadows fell on the man's body. A man in white, as holy as in the divine residence, can't bear the meaning of blasphemy. Realizing that the Song of Songs stood there for a long time, His Holiness Giwen looked up and looked at her tenderly. Come here. The moment he looked up, the soft and long smile seemed to be flowing out of him, causing him to emerge from the Holy Land, and the whole person was alive. The words did not move. She squeezed the door frame tightly with her fingers. She originally wanted to gradually distance herself from Giwen Tianzun, and she walked in Wuzong first. Walking around, Su Giwen Tianzun will allow her to go to places other than Wuzong. At that time, she found a chance to leave Giwen Tianzun and look for Hong Chen. The teenager in a red suit holding a red umbrella was too impressed in her mind. She still couldn't forget the bright red blood under his feet and the words "I'm waiting for you" that he begged but told her firmly. It doesn't matter whether Hong Chen is a puppet created by His Holiness Giwen, whether he is still in this world. Yanj felt that she always had to look for it. She didn't find it until she found it. But now, Giwen Tianzun wants to be her acquaintance. The relationship between the two is beyond clear. It's just a swap of interests. Giwen Tianzun has lived for so long, is the old ancestor in the human population. Such things as the feelings of children, to him is just a child play. She thought he was alive enough, and even if the relationship between the two was not broken, he should know better than her the pros and cons. And now, he wants to be her acquaintance. The two cultivators of the immortal realm will also leave marks on each other's souls. She is destined to become immortal in the future. What does Giwen Tianzun do? Yanj asked the cubs in the consciousness. This guy, is he really powerful? The chicken was absolutely sure. Of course, look at his standard, who else is not a mighty one? Yanj, the standard of the Blackened power is not high. Giwen Tianzun is all super luxurious standard. Chicken, do you still not allow people to spend money on suits? Now, in this world, there is nothing to do with money and power, not to mention the power of the sky is heaven and earth. Even if the power is blackened, they are also the pro-sons of heaven. It's not your turn to despise it. Does she despise? Yanj felt that the cock's voice smelled of gunpowder, and this guy probably had a fight with that fox again. After waiting for the song to ask, the chicken said, "Would, it is not a good thing for you and him to become a double monk. He is too strong to cultivate. Once you leave a soul mark in your soul, even if you are the host physically, but you yourself will also be affected, in case he can see your secrets." Yan's song, "So what?" The chicken thought for a moment, "Reject him, but he is so weak. When you refuse, remember to be gentle, euphemistic, and caring." So she is going to issue a good card to Giwen Tianzan? Yanj feels that even if she is willing to give Giwen Tianzan a good person card, Giwen Tianzan may not be willing to accept it. After all, this guy not only has a weak psychological quality, it doesn't seem to be so provocative. Yan Song didn't speak. Goi Yuanzan looked at her slowly and smiled. "Little Song, what's wrong?" After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 450. Giwen Tianzun seemed to have endless joy in his seemingly warm smile. He must have guessed the meaning of the words, but just knowingly and wanted to hear the words of joy in the words. Yan Ji laughed at him, and swallowed her throat again. She frowned slightly and asked him softly, "Saburo, are you obsessed?" Xiu Xian Road, should be alone you alone. Heart is bound, how can it go for a long time? What's more, the existence of Giwen Tianzun, as long as his mind is a little bit, will become the existence of destroying his entire Doxin. Giwen Tianzun's smile slowly disappeared. He looked at the words with his eyes, and even his upturned lips became a line. He asked her, "Are you unhappy?" He thought she would pour into his arms with joy. He thought she would rejoice. At this moment, she was standing outside the threshold, and he had developed an illusion, as if that threshold had become a world lying in front of him and her. Obviously she looked at her very clearly, but she felt that she couldn't see through. Yan Ji smiled at him, smiled, and tears fell down. "I am very happy, and I am very sad." She cried and laughed, tears streaming down. "I don't want you to be in bondage. You are the existence that everyone in Xiaoxian is looking up to, you are a high monument in Wuzong, everyone expects you so much, and you immediately I will live up to everyone's expectations. I don't want to be your own variable. Saburo, you have worked so hard for so long, and the road to Xiaoxian is difficult. You have walked step by step to the present. You should not stop for such a little girl." His shape appeared in front of her the next moment, and took her into his arms. He helped her wipe the tears on her face, her cold fingertips touched her warm tears, her fingers trembled, her head bowed, and she kissed hitting her forehead, her nose, her lips. His breath haunted her, blending her tenderness with herself. "It doesn't matter," he mumbled, soothing her, "it doesn't matter, don't worry, I won't have anything, I'll be up until you're done." He has waited so many thousands of years, and is not in a hurry. This is as if she is going to hang up soon. Yan Ji is a bit big and she doesn't want to have such a meat tail behind her at all. She also wanted to find Hong Chen. Hey, she's not as good as this guy now. And when she thought that this guy was a mighty one, she nodded a bit. After all, she hadn't found the sensitive point of this guy so far. I was afraid that he would explode at the touch and become black again. That's all about this matter. Yanj is waiting for the time. My heart is upset, so I have recently been walking through the gate of Wuzongzong under the pretext of learning spells. Her face used a little magic, others looked like her face was bland, so although her protagonist of the gossip has been mixed in the crowd, everyone did not find her true identity. I didn't want to hear everyone talking about the daughter of Wu Zongzong, who was now under house arrest by the Zongzong. Listening to the sigh of sighs, the words fell a little. In fact, she couldn't figure out. People like Chen Sheng had been revealed to the public in real life, and their cultivation had been destroyed, and their consciousness had been damaged. For the sake of him, even Zhenzong's baby, who has no delusion, wants to help Chen Sheng nourish his soul. What's so good about Chen Sheng? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 451. Because of this idea, Yan Ji deliberately went to Dongfu where Yuanchuang was located in the afternoon. When Yan went, a glance of the gods saw that Yuanchuang was feeding Chen Sheng. Chen Sheng now looks exactly like an old woman, or an old woman with intellectual insufficiency because of divine knowledge. He didn't say gray hair. When he looked at the old man with a spot on his face and drank the porridge fed by Yuan cream, he ran down the corner of his mouth several times because he couldn't swallow it. Yuanchuang kept her head down, and her face was not impatient, and she helped him wipe the corners of her mouth from time to time. As the first beauty in the world of Xiaoxian, the beauty of Yuanchuang is widely acknowledged. Standing in front of Chen Sheng like this, she formed a strong contrast. Yanj stood outside her courtyard and remained motionless for a long time. It was still Yuanchuang finished feeding the porridge to Chen Sheng, and then opened the courtyard door, then walked in front of Yanj, slowly, kneeling towards Yanj. Sorry. She dropped her head, looked numb, and said to herself, although everything is done by your brother, I am the main cause. The instrument that killed your second brother is called the Starry Sky. It is my gift. To him, he killed everyone in your division and your sword, which is also called a gentleman's sword, and I gave it to him. I met at the beginning, and it was the young lady who met the downcast bully who was bullied, and at first glanced, and appreciated the talent of the boy, so not only was he given the sword, but he also gave the boy with the brand of no delusion, thinking about the future. See you, maybe you can continue a good story. Later, the man did find Wu Zongzong, and he continued the conversation with the young lady. But this episode is based on the lives of many people. The suspicious Susie Rayner once questioned this daughter with an angry expression, he lied to you like that, you should hate him, you silly child, why are you still obsessed? Yuanchuang does not hate Chen Sheng. She hated herself even more. Without that glance, Chen Sheng would not have done it without her olive branch. Everyone was blaming Chen Sheng, but only she felt that the real culprit was her. Wu Zongsu has always been worried about her Taoism. But when she saw that Chen Sheng used the instruments she gave to kill his fellow students, she had completely collapsed. He killed those fellow students and killed Duan Xiaoch, but he was afraid that when he was with her in the future, Duan Xiaoch would bring those fellow students to the door. Yuanchuang looked up and looked at the words, sorry, I brought disaster to your heaven and earth. I have always wanted to plead for your sins, but I have always flinched and did not dare to go. Since you came to me today, I also know these things. Chen Sheng, although he is guilty, if he is guilty, he is far less than me. In the beginning, Yanj wanted to enlighten by magic. She has smoked the evils of Shenshizhen, and she also smoked the magical energy of red dust. So now, she is keenly aware of the monsters that have been restrained in Yuanchuang's body. This girl, overnight, her favorite partner not only became a murderer, she also became the one who handed the knife. It should have been the most festive day, but this day became her hell. It seems that it is impossible to think of anyone. What's that got to do with you? Yan Ji sighed. If he has good intentions, even if you are tempted, he won't do those things. If he has evil thoughts, he will sooner or later without you. That decision will be made. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 452. That's what it says. Yuan Chuang laughed with a mockery, her face bleak and desolate. It was indeed me who handed him the sword, and even he fell into the situation because of me. In her mouth, he refers to Chen Sheng. She felt that, without her temptation, Chen Sheng might still be in heaven and earth and be his master brother with peace of mind, to marry his fiancée. She looked up and looked at the words, "Will you kill me after Chen Zhenshao's done? I'm afraid I'm gone and he will be taken care of by him. Everything is up for me, and now he bears it for me. Infamy, I deserve to take care of him." Yanj listened to her humble begging words, thinking that she was the daughter of the Lord, and she would have been held by the stars since she was a child. Now, because of a scum like Chen Sheng, she can't walk a way out. It turned out to be a pot of porridge that was harmed by rat feces. Okay, Yan Ji didn't refute her anymore. She said, "I'll wait that day. Although Chen Sheng looks like an old man, he can't die for a while." Yanj really hopes that Yuan Chuang can figure it out during this period. Yanj is still thinking hard about how to be gentle, euphemistic, kind, and not to hurt self-esteem, and to return to her. The date of His Holiness Giwen is really unbearable. Zhu Wei encouraged the song, "You let me out. Really, as long as you let me out, I can help you get this man in minutes. I am more thorough with men than with women, sister. Believe me once, I will never let you down." Yanj believes his last words, he will not let her down, he will make her despair. So no matter what Zhu Wei said, Yanj ignored him and ignored him. The chicken seriously advised Yanj, "You can discuss it with him, without the double seal. This is a good way." Yanj personally and earnestly and respected Giwen made this small request. The Supreme Master Giwen felt that Yanj was caring for him, and was very touched and said, "Don't worry that you will become a drag on me. Xioj, I am a serious fellow with you." Seriously, Yan Ji is most afraid of the word serious. To cry without tears. The chicken simply suggested again, "Will I help you block the fan system during this time? Lest he find out." "Chicken, I find that your IQ has improved a lot recently," Yanj praised, "I want to worship you." The name chicken has been invalidated by the protest of the chicks, so now when I hear Yanj call it, he can only retaliate by calling wood a few times to vent his anger. "You have a heartless wood deliberately following my IQ. Who gives you courage?" Yanj was too lazy to ignore it, and said, "Hurry up and block the mystery system in my knowledge. This geeky system is a display in the mission, not as good as her pot." Speaking of her own pot, Yanj remembered the elders of the Refiner Church that day gave her a lot of gadgets, and she boasted that there was nothing on the earth, just in her self-confidence that she had hosted 10,000 people. When the fan really deserved its reputation, the elder asked her to borrow the pot for research. Not only are the elders interested in Yanj's pot, but the entire Xiaoxian world is jealous of Yanj's pot. Imitations of Yanj's pot have appeared on the market. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 453. Of course, although the pots and pans on the market are inseparable from their own, their functions are certainly not as powerful as their own pots. However, imitations on the market are closer to life. For example, when it rains, the pot can be enlarged and buckled on its own head. For example, the pot can also be used as a flying weapon, a defensive weapon, or it can become a defensive barrier in the future. These guys also gave the pot a very tall name called Tiandi Suanwu. When she heard the name, Yanj's heart was calm. She felt it necessary for her to remind the masters of the refiners that she could actually develop a cooking noodle function for this mouthful of Suanwu. However, thinking that most of these guys who cultivated immortals settled down, she could only dispel this idea. However, Yanj followed the trend and also named a basal name for his own pot. It is said that Suanwu's appearance is similar to that of a turtle. The turtle looks like a pot. Of course, the Wok did not know that when Yanj named him Suan Wuo, that was the thought in his heart. The Wok was very satisfied with the name. As soon as he heard Suan Wuo shouting, he twisted around and jumped around the song. It seems that the Wok handle is used as a leg. When Xianwu was passed to the smiling elder by the song, Yan Song couldn't bear to look directly at the elder's stare at the pot. One day, a person passing by recognizes that Suan Wuo, the popular world in Xiaoxian realm, is a mouth-watering pot, and the picture is a bit drunk. As if to show off his skills, of course, it may also be that the pot does not like the face of the elder. As soon as the hand of the elder touched the handle of the pot, the bottom of the pot sprayed water on the elder. Then he yanked away from the elders, and shyly returned to Yan Ji and buckled it on Yan Ji's head. Yan Ji hurriedly explained, "It has given birth to its own intelligence, and probably does not like to be touched by outsiders." The elder was not angry at all, reached out and touched the water stains on his face, and stared obsessedly at the top of Yan's head. The magical instruments have spirits. The higher order magical instruments are the smarter. It is a blessing to be able to see such a magical instrument in my lifetime. He mumbled for a while, and wanted to touch Suan Wuo again, but Suan Wuo did not give him a face, and found that he reached out, and immediately made a pit in his hand with the bottom of the pot. The elder touched his hand, just like his little lover. Seeing Yan's goosebumps, the elder finally failed to touch his little lover and left with regret. After this, Yanj never saw the elder again. Of course, she didn't know that it was His Holiness Giwen who directly turned the door away. The elders could not even step into the cabinet peak, let alone mention the words. Because the cub blocked the fandom system in her knowledge, Yan Ji basically had no worries. Although looking for red dust, this matter can also be discussed in the long run. Therefore, she simply waited until the day of the Shuangziu ceremony with His Holiness Giwen. From the perspective of the Xiaoxian world, the double cultivation ceremony of His Holiness Giwen is even more sensational than the events of heaven and earth. In order to pull back the face lost in the last time, there were more people invited by this time. But even so, under the gate of Wuzongzong, many people crowded there. They could not enter Wuzongzong without invitations, but it had nothing to do with it. It was an honor to look at it from a distance. And some people under the mountain are selling live recordings. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Weipang. Chapter 454. Yan Ji has experienced a lot, and she has no idea how many times she has been married in the plane. Not the first time the person who has been on the sedan looks calmer, and I don't think this is a big deal. But the Supreme Master Giwen didn't understand it. The first few days before the Shuangziu ceremony, he would ask the song almost every once in a while, "Are you nervous?" Before waiting for the words to speak, he used his body to soothe the words, "Don't be nervous, the double repair ceremony is very common, just go through the process and just relax." At the end, he added, "Small song, rest assured, when we become friends, I will not lose you." Words of song. Who is nervous? These guys are nervous these days and don't even do the daily routine meditation. Every day they are cleaning up the Cabernet Sauvignon. Once they turn into a flower, and then they turn into a bird. It looks no different from neurosis. On the day of the Shuangziu ceremony, Yan Ji even breathed a sigh of relief. She felt that Gui Yuanzun would be so nervous, and sooner or later she would go into magic. Today, as usual, there are disciples in the martial arts who try this link. Wu Suzong-su also arranged a speech from His Holiness Giwen. Before that, Yanj was waiting in the apse. A girl hurried in front of her and said Yuan Shuang begged her to meet. The disciple almost cried when he spoke. Only after careful inquiry, Yanj realized that the prince of the arrogant prince probably also noticed that his daughter was in a wrong state and simply sealed the practice of Yu Yin's huang. This little disciple was the person who the lord of the arrogant ordered to care for Yu Yin's huang. Yu Yinshuang didn't go out in the house early this morning. When the little disciples felt it was inappropriate to push in the door, she found that Yu Yinshuang had wounded himself with a sword and chopped herself. Now the injury is not a big deal. However, Yu Yinshuang's idea was obviously out of order, so she came to find a song. I follow you. Yan Ji knew that Giwen's sovereign could know her whereabouts, so she did not know Giwen's sovereign, and immediately took the disciple to the Moonfrost's cave. As early as some time ago, it was discovered that Yu Yinshuang secretly used his cultivation to nourish Chen Sheng's body, and without the arrogant Suzy Ainti, he threw Chen Sheng out of the gate. Yu Yin's huang was sealed by the little disciple, so she was motionless in bed. The little disciple was smart. She had already treated the wounds of Yu Yin's huang for the first time. Only the deeper part of the wound was still healing. Seeing the song appearing in front of her, Yu Yinshuang opened her mouth to speak, but she couldn't say anything. As Yanj helped her to relieve her acupoints, she said to the young disciple, I'll say a few words to her. You are standing outside the door. If someone comes, stop them. No one is allowed to enter. The little disciple nodded. Because of her identity, she went out without any doubt. You kill me, Yu Yinshuang said to him, you kill me. I dreamed that you were begging me, but I stabbed you with a sword, all this. It's all my fault, you killed me. Yanj sighed. Yu Yinshuang's heart demon can no longer be suppressed. She reached out and enchanted all around, which brought her forehead to the silver forehead of the moon. Yu Yinshuang tried to struggle. Yanj said, don't move, if you are willing to die, why are you struggling? Are you going to kill me? Yu Yinshuang closed her eyes and remained motionless. Then you kill me. I'm sorry for you, I'm sorry for your brothers and sisters. She looked calm and never resisted the approach of the words. After my death, the villain blackened again. Author, Ben Gong Wei Pang. Chapter 455. It was an extremely painful thing to draw Moonfrost's demon, but she was relieved, and she never even showed pain. This is really a distressed and admirable girl. Because of the cooperation of Yu Yinshuang, Yanj went very smoothly this time. When she devoured Yu Yinshuang's demon, her pale face seemed to be seriously ill, her pale eyes were closed, and Yanj put her in bed. After clearing the enchantment, I saw the little disciple walking around the door as soon as I went out. Yan Ji smiled at her and said, your sister is fine, she is sleeping now, just wake up. The young disciple thanked again and again. If it weren't for the grandmother, I don't know what to do. I don't dare to alarm the head today. Fortunately, the grandmother is kind. The song of the grandmother said. She wants to take back the smile on her face. The chest hurts. After turning around, the subconscious wants to touch his face. Shouldn't it really turn into a granny face? However, after leaving for a while, when Yanj returned to the main hall, he realized that the outside had turned upside down. The red dust she was in her heart, and the red dust in red clothes, was by flowers at the square outside the hall at this moment. For a long time, the appearance is elegant and beautiful. At this moment, the red dust clothes are ragged, and the body face is covered with blue and purple tendons visible to the naked eye. On the side of Hong Chen, Chen Sheng was kneeling. As well as the two of them, there are two angry backsword men with rune tattoos on their faces. Duan Zioch has been made into a living dead by this magic recipe. If the living dead want to stay immortal, they have to on the man's energy every day. During that period, Duan Zioch has harmed tens of thousands of people. One of the men slaps on the top of Hung Chen's head, a jingle, and a man tumbling on the bed to the end, and the picture of the man turning into a corpse and being swayed by the words into powder appears. Come to think of it, when Duan Zioch used to breathe those men's spirits, Hong Chen would secretly stand and watch somewhere else, Otherwise, there would be no such memory in his mind. Of course, Duan Xiao's victim is a victim, and it is common for people to have grievances, but she has harmed so many people for her selfish desires. This is unforgivable, and she is associated with the demon. It is the responsibility of the entire immortal world to cut monsters and demon monsters. Please also return Yuan Tianzun to bring Duan Xiao out, or be disposed of by Wuzongzone, or by my endless faction. As soon as the 3 words came out, Yan Ji lowered his eyes. The immortal faction of Xiaoxian realm is the embodiment of justice. The image that appears in Xiaoxian realm is either to cut off demons and remove evil spirits or punish evil for good. Although the people of the immortal faction are mysterious, their status in Xiaoxian realm is very important. The position of Yanj is just where you can see the supreme Diwan. Because of the ice-based exercises, he originally felt high. Today, instead of wearing a white robe for changing soup or medicine, he changed into a red wedding dress. Even his decorative head was not decorated with a ruby gold crown. Hair turned up. Today, he is extraordinarily handsome, and he is also very alive, just like a fairy with a dusty atmosphere, no longer so high, not so far away. But now, his expression was cold, and the majestic coercion of the whole body made the elders around him in a state of 2 wars.